to the cloud. So today is the 21st, and I would like to mention, I was scheduled to have a lecture today with Julio Carvalho, but again, as I mentioned to you before, he had another commitment. It was a family thing, so he was not able to be with us today. He's yet to let us know when he will be available to us, but he promised he will be talking to us about the power of forgiveness. It's a very, very nice lecture that he had over here in Houston, so I invited him and he accepted to talk to us. And then that means, okay, so on the 28th, that will be mechanics of mediumship. Do we have Luis with us today? No? Because I would like to
yet.
Okay, so I would like to confirm.
Yeah, he did say something he was not coming today.
No, they will be with us. In your meeting last night, they don't talk about that.
No,
they didn't say anything.
They're coming.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I need to confirm whether or not he will be available for the June the 11th. So there will be a very nice lecture he prepared to us, and I need to confirm he will be available. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with our opening prayer. As usual, we just close our eyes and keep our thoughts in a very calming and peaceful state, and invite our guides, our mentors, to be here with us. And so we just start our prayer. Dear Brother Jesus, as we gather here today to learn from the Spirit teachings, from your loving message, and from each other life experience, we ask you please to come beside us now. Lead us on our study today, on the days ahead of us, and through the time when our mind cannot cope. Help us to find inner peace and calming inner thoughts. You hold us safe, Jesus. Please do the same for this group, for our mentors here with us today, for our family members, our houses, relatives, and all of those crossing our minds right now, as well as those in need. And so be it. And today I would like to, before we get started with the Spirit's book, I would like to bring you this short video and talk about that a little bit. This video is about sharing the resources, it's about fraternity, it's about charity. And as we learn how to share our resources with others. So you're going to see this book, the video is, is actually about feeding people. And let's see if you can, let me know if you can hear anything. It's a very short story about the long stem spoons. Like I said, the video talks about fraternity, about charity, and about nourishing the body, but also the charity that we are talking about is about nourishing the soul. As we share with others what we learn, we share our love, our compassion, and if possible, our forgiveness. So where to start? Evidently, we always start in our houses, right? In our families. I mean, the other day I was reading this teaching from the Spirit saying, how come we want to lead 100 or 1,000 people if we do not know even how to deal with our family members? So we cannot think about helping hundreds when we are yet to learn how to treat 3 or 4 living in our homes. So just something for us to keep in mind. Okay, so Josie told me last time we stopped by this question number 694. Yes, Josie. If you're talking, you're talking.
Just a comment. But do you know, sometimes the 3 or 4 in our family is the hard ones.
Yes, and there is a
1,000 people outside, then the challenging ones inside your house. Just funny, I just remember that.
Yeah, I agree. And if you know what, if it wasn't for those hard ones, how would we grow? We need to think that, you know, it's not, if we have a full agreement within the family members, what about our growing process? What about our improvement? I mean, I cannot think of other means to improve if it wasn't for those ones showing where our challenges are. So even though sometimes it's so hard to face the difficult family members, but we have to recognize they offer us a wonderful opportunity to improve ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And another thing, I think the hardest contracts we kind of sign when we come, usually we pick the family's member to help us to achieve them. So it's
exactly. That's what the spirits say, that if we have some knowledge, if we have condition to do that, then we participate in the reincarnation plan that they put together for us. If we do not have any condition to participate in that planning, then they will decide for us which family we will have, which family members will be together based on our needs. Yeah, so we end up with that group that eventually will promote improvement, will promote growth. So we cannot complain. It is a blessing. Believe you or not, it is a blessing. But anyway, any other comment? All right, so.
Yes, Len had his hand.
Yeah, Len, yes,
yeah,
sorry.
There's a lot of evidence from different sources that when you do your reincarnation cycles, there will be souls that will be placed with other souls, whether the souls be children, two parents, where they actually can help in the development of those souls. As you know, if you look at Sylvia Browne's work and many others, you'll have the white entities as their soul core color, which are the best. Then you'll have the gray entities, which are the hypocrites and phonies. And then you get to the dark entities, which is evil. Mm-hmm. I have 4 sons. 2 of the sons are white entities and 2 of the sons are grays. As the other side told me, they were placed with myself and my wife to help them convert from a gray entity to a white entity.
Mm-hmm.
So there actually is precedence for this, that souls will be placed with each other in the various reincarnation cycles and the different roles in reincarnation, parents, children, etc., grandparents, husbands, wives, for the help to facilitate the development of those particular souls that may need help.
Mm-hmm.
There actually is several areas of precedence for this in my own experience too.
Yeah, let me see. Someone else raised. Okay, so Heise, please. Thank you, Lynn.
Yes, I didn't understand that this was done for you to Susan. I thought that when you wanted to reincarnate, then you chose it because you have free will, because this is what you know you need to learn. I didn't understand that you were placed with other people. Mm-hmm. Because I do know that you know, children come back as parents and vice versa and all this sort of thing, incognito, because it's a learning process.
Yeah.
Okay, let me answer that. When you develop your life plan, your life chart for a particular incarnation, you don't develop it alone. You have your council of elders, you have your spirit guides, you have orientators. There's a whole bunch of entities that sit down with you and say, okay, what is going to be the reasonable objectives in this incarnation that they feel you can achieve? We all have free will. That's an axiom of the universe, of course. But you don't plan, your life chart is not planned for that incarnation alone. It's many entities of superior spirituality that enter the picture to develop the life plan, the life chart for that incarnation.
Yeah, and allow me to build up on top of that, Lynn. When we go to the spiritual realm, it depends a lot, you know, if we go there, if we transition to the spiritual realm in a very poor state, say for example, I was sick, I was not in a very good condition, mentally speaking, for example. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was not in good state of mind. So then that state will not change just because I transitioned from the physical dimension to the spiritual dimension. So I will still need a lot of help and not a lot of guidance from others who will have better condition to decide for me, like Len was saying, what is the best, what's the most reasonable condition for me to continue my growth. Now, there is a free will. However, not always I will have condition to exercise that free will. So for example, take a child. As a child, we do not decide which school we are going to attend. We do not decide which vaccine we are going to have, right? So the parents, it's up to the parents to decide for us which school we go, because at that point we do not have enough reasoning per se to decide by ourselves. So that's when in some conditions, so there will be somebody, you know, normally our mentors, our guides, that will decide for us, they will plan, and we'll see what is the best position for us to be. Josie.
First, I want to say welcome, Cherry Pearl. She's here today. Welcome to the group.
Thank you.
Sure. And no, I just want to say another thing that I want to say, it's like usually if you have something that Giles talks a lot about. If you have a very hated relationship with somebody, for example, in another life, somebody killed me, or I killed somebody, or usually it's very normal. We read in the romance, in the books, that it's the best way to come back and forgive each other. It's the family relationship, main mother and daughter, mother and son. It's a bad way to make both forgive each other. It's, as Giles always says, there is no one size fits all. I'm just giving one example, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that happens a lot, what we see in the books.
Yeah, thank you, Josie. Len, you...
Yeah, I think free will enters into to incarnate or not incarnate. There are many, many souls of the universe, there's a lot of evidence for this, that will not incarnate. They do not want to go through the trials and tribulations and lessons for incarnation. We are the brave ones. We are the ones who basically have selected the toughest school in the universe, all the mental and physical challenges. So we are the brave ones. So we all should put a nice star on our chest.
What you said made me very emotional because
free will goes. There's many souls that will not incarnate. There's a lot of evidence for that. They don't want to put up with it. So that's where free will really comes in.
Yeah, my son's fiancé.
Exactly.
Yeah. My son's fiancé, who died last year, she said in a car accident, she used to tell me, she used to say, you know, kind of saying, we are the brave ones. She used to say, we are the badass.
That's right.
So every time I hear this, I remember, yeah, we are the badass. Yeah, we decided to be here. Thank you, Lynn. Una.
Just a question on what we've been talking about. So is it a case that if you don't make an agreement or you don't agree to, you can't make a decision on souls to incarnate, that souls will be placed in your family or in your life with you? Is that how it works?
So whenever, okay, so let me see.
Sure, I understand the question.
Yeah. I have an answer for that, Una's question. How it works is in any number of different ways. Sorry, I want to talk about Len's thing, but that's why I put up my hand. The choice of reincarnation is in any number of different ways, and one size does not fit all. The usual way is that you come back with 2 or 3 friends that you know that you've got stuff to wrangle with. And it's a usual incarnation. It's no, you don't have 2 heads. You don't. You're not crippled. You live to a reasonable age because you don't do anything that's stupid that gets you wiped out. And it's a reasonable plan and a reasonable incarnation, and you reasonably go through with it. I just wanted to say that that's it. But one size does not fit all. There are amazing exceptions.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in terms of family and that kind of thing, like I would have assumed that my siblings were soul contracts before I came in, but it's interesting to think that maybe they weren't, that, you know, maybe I didn't make a decision on it, or maybe I only made a decision on 1 or 2 and the rest were just slotted in. Is that the way it is, or can that be the way?
Yeah,
indeed, yes, it can. I'm sorry, Anna. Yes, it can absolutely be the way. And there's no accidents because people choose what they're going to do, just as Len says, but then things happen and one size does not fit all, and these things do not go smoothly sometimes. And also there's the other confusion is that you can pick certain exit points. Say you're planning to live till 80, and you pick 3 exit points before 80 in case that it just goes that way. You want it to go that way. So this is all right. Sorry, yeah. I'm interfering.
Something here. There's a concept that's very important. Soul packs, soul groups. There are eternal classmates. Basically, Newton's work, our work. I mean, there's a lot of evidence for this. And that, I'll give you an example. Our soul group, soul pack, has 20 in them. And basically, they're your eternal classmates, where you go through all your incarnations and they say, okay, in this incarnation, you'll be the father, and you experience, you'll be the son, you'll be the mother. You're experiencing all the different manifestations of love. So this is a very, very tight association in the spirit world, your soul pack, your soul group, okay? And we have 20 in our group, and I'm gonna say something now, which some do know, that Wendy Zamet is in, we're in the same soul pack, Wendy and I, the 20, yes, yes. I always used to tease her. I says, well, I was your son. And I said, was I a good son, mama? You know, and I would tease her. But there's reasons. There is so many that come in and say, well, I'm going to come in late in your life. Now, there's another one that came in very late in this incarnation. And I didn't realize at first who he was. Felicia told me. But bottom line is eternal classmates. These are your soul pack soulmates. And you do different roles and different incarnations to experience the many different aspects of love, compassion, forgiveness, gratitude, etc. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to mention as well that, you know, the family groups that we have over here, they are, we can compare them as the school, like what Glenn was saying, you know, as we, if you want to study physics or biology or whatever, then you're going to attend that class of biology or physics or whatever, because that's exactly what you want to work with, right? So similar is the criteria to select the family members that you have. So it's normally based on previous existence. But we do, like Len was saying, we do have this family or spiritual pack. And because by affinity, you know, we have the same level of evolution. We have a common understanding. We kind of want the same thing. We kind of evolve at the same pace. Then, yeah, naturally we get together, right? But as we try to come to this existence to reincarnate, then not necessarily you are going to live with people from the same spiritual pack, because those are the ones that is in agreement with you all the time. So normally we will see people that will be like Lynn was saying, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 members. Those will be the ones kind of bringing some challenges for everybody, for the whole group to overcome and then grow together. Leda, please.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the free will, because as Hyacinth was saying, our free will is limited. It grows as much as our responsibility grows.
Our responsibility, yes.
Yeah, the more responsibility we show, more free will we will have. And it's very, very connected to the cause and effect. So sometimes you have one incarnation and you have more free will, but on the other hand, you get more bad deeds, because it's very difficult to deal with your free will. So if you have, like, you were a king or a president or someone with a lot of power, that's just an example, you may have more actions to undo, more wrong things to undo.
The consequences of what you do has a larger dimension, yes.
They have a larger dimension, so you'll be attached to this. So in your next reincarnation, you will have less free will, because you will be attached to this. So, and in this world, although we are brave, like Len said, but we are still a world of proof and atonement, transiting to a world of regeneration. So we still are very committed to our bad deeds in the past, in the previous lives, because as a planet, as we are still evolving. So we still have our free will very limited in this. As for instance, what would be if we do transit to a world of regeneration? Then we will have more free will, because we will have crossed a line. We will have taken a leap in our evolution. So we can't forget about these things.
Yeah, thank you, Leda. Yeah, very important, good point. Giles.
Can you hear me
yes,
okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
sorry.
The expansion, I basically wanted to agree with what Len said, that this planet is well known for having nasty incarnations. And so if having difficult incarnations means that your spirit grows. But the next thing I wanted to say was that the challenges you pick in your incarnation, if you get too full of yourself, you pick an incarnation that ends you up as president or king or a billionaire, and then you have power. Now, usually power corrupts, and then that messes with your character. So you've made a wrong choice, and this is why you have guides and friends who help you in your decisions as to what's going to happen in your incarnation. And they say, no, you don't want to be born into a billionaire family, because then you'll become a first-class asshole and take 5 incarnations or 50 to correct the damage you do. So you have to be careful and don't overstep your abilities that will allow corruption to come in. And the perfect example, I think, is that wonderful movie director. Oh, now his name's gone out of my head. This is what happens when you're 75. He did Jaws. Come on, who's the movie director? Spielberg has immense power and riches, and there's not the slightest news of him being bad, only news about him doing good things. So there's somebody who made a choice, went into it directly, became powerful and rich, and is not being corrupted by it. Yes, and that's a rarity. I can't say that you know, if somebody gave me $1,000 million, what would I do? I should retire somewhere very quietly and be very careful, because boy, I could get into a lot of trouble.
As a matter of fact, there are several books from Chico, and he in those stories, real stories, the spirits, they explain exactly that, you know, that sometimes when we become aware of the depths that we have of the wrongdoings that we did, so we decide, okay, this is the time, this is the reincarnation that is gonna be, you know, the one, you know, the redemption. And then we feel like brave, we can endure anything, we can do all the challenges. And then we said, okay, so this time I'm gonna be a president, I'm gonna save a lot of lives. And then the spirits, they because they know us very well, they very commonly, they turn to us and they say, well, you better be very careful. So first of all, let's see if we can deal with the 3 or 4 in your family. And then in the next reincarnation, perhaps you can be a public figure. But for now, just, you know, let's keep, you know, let's try with a small one, with a small group. So yeah, that's exactly what the type of advice that we hear.
Chico says usually they cut us like 80% of our contract. We say I want to have cancer, I want to have legs and do that, and they say, okay, let's review, because
you cannot endure this much. Face, you know, exactly. Len, sorry.
One thing I want to emphasize that Anna was alluding to, and that is your soul group, soul pack, you're at the same spiritual level of development. So all your eternal classmates, you advance together. So it's approximate same spiritual level. And the second thing, as I said before, reincarnation is the teaching tool of the soul learning curve. It's all about the soul learning curve. That's what it's all about.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Lynn.
Yep.
Maria.
And Sai Baba said, the earth is a hospital. We're all patients. Well, you are, not me. I'm done with my incarnations. And I came back to fix a few others and then did more miracles. So that's Satya Sai Baba saying, an offhand remark, the earth is a hospital and you're all patients.
Yes, yes, indeed. Sorry, Maria.
Anna, we are talking about the question 694.
No,
we don't know what this. How does it start?
What question is, please?
It started with the free will question.
That's a free will. Please, only a number, because the screen is not with the text, Anna, please.
I will say em português. Maria, a gente só está discutindo sobre o vídeo, ainda não entramos nas questões.
Yeah.
Ah, ok, porque eu tenho alguma dificuldade de entender o conteúdo, então eu estou tentando me localizar aqui. Ok, obrigada.
No problem. So, Janice, please. Sorry.
Okay.
First of all, thank you and welcome to the group.
Yeah, welcome to the group.
Thank
Janice.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay, so this is what was on my mind. There's a couple things. One is, I'm just going to use this example in World War II. My theory is that some of the Nazis have been reborn, but they've been reborn in the very religion, I'm going to be very frank, Judaism. And I think a lot of them are actually born to be quite observant. So it's interesting, like they're experiencing the other side. And so then we've got the concept of forgiveness. And I'd like to kind of, hear anyone's comments on it. So in other words, if they're coming back as the people that they felt were the enemy, and now they have to forgive really themselves in a past life. So the whole concept of forgiveness is something that I can never finish studying. So I'd like comments on that. And the other thing is, how do we know that we're accessing a past life? Everybody has different experiences, but how do we know that we're just not making it up? And I'm not talking about, thinking we were a king or a queen, but just feeling how, we know that we lived in the 14th century. Those are the two questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess I will start with the easiest one.
Let me answer one of those questions.
Can I? Okay, go ahead.
Janice, the choice of reincarnation, there are as many choices of reincarnation as there are stars in the universe. And one of them is a bunch of people in a town in Pennsylvania that I read about, maybe 2,000 to 5,000, and they always reincarnate back in that city. The whole lot of them. It's a kind of an agreement. And they have very relaxed and quiet incarnations. It's supposed to be a town in Philadelphia somewhere. And so one size does not fit all. You pick an incarnation that you think will cure you, whatever your problems are. And another thing I have to mention, which is the memory wipe at birth. This is the real miracle. And the other miracle is how the spirit stays attached to the body. The rest of the miracles are nothing compared to those because they allow it all to work. You look at the blade of grass growing, you look at a flower, you look at a kitten jumping around, they are miraculous. But the real miracles are those two. Now, it's not me saying that, it's somebody else who knows better, saying that the two miracles are how the body stays attached to the spirit and I've forgotten the second one. Oh, and
well,
the memory
flowers,
wipe.
About the flowers, or that people agree that they're going to come back and have it sounds like almost an easy go. They're going to come back to the same community.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, there's a bunch of people that are apparently doing that all the time. And there's others that make difficult choices too. And there's enough people are ready to talk, so I'll shut up.
Just sorry, one more thing. And that is, I thought that it was sort of a co-creative on the other side where our soul meets with we'll just say other beings of light or God, I'm not really sure. And that we have to make an agreement as to what we agree to come back and do, that it wasn't just our single experience and decision.
No, according to the readings I have done, I don't have any direct knowledge on this. The choice is made, a spirit will decide to reincarnate again. This means that it has already done many hundreds, possibly thousands of incarnations, because otherwise it will just jump into the first incarnation available. That's what happens when you reach the human state. Later on, you start to decide carefully about your reincarnation, and that's when you talk to your friends. And the search for God, by the way, apparently continues in the afterlife just the same as it is here. The search goes on, so it's not God helping you, but it is higher spirits than yourself who can see the possible results of your actions.
Yeah,
really interesting.
Yeah, one thing that we need
explain Janice and maybe Sherry, because it's the first day that we are studying the book of the spirits and the Allan Kardec doctrine. So maybe help them to understand where the ways will come.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. One thing that we need to keep in mind is if we collect or if we have a debt, you know, from a previous life, like for example, the Nazi people, this is so serious that more than likely we are not going, say, for example, I have been a Nazi people, I was responsible for, you know, killing several people in the past. There is no way I'm gonna fix and make that up in a single reincarnation. So that's cause and effect. So that will be a lot of learning from my end until I truly understand the seriousness of what I've done. So this is one thing. And the other thing is, how do I know if I am facing something that corresponds to a bad act that I did in my previous life? In my case, that is very obvious. Every time that I feel like struggling, like dealing, for example, I know I at some point in my life, I do not know if it was a previous life or the life before that one, it doesn't matter. But somehow, some time in the past, I know I didn't do good stuff with authority, because today I struggle dealing with people with high authorities. That person is trying to impose their power on me. It's not going to work. And I have to deal, I have to work in myself. I have to think on how to deal with that without causing even more harm, without causing even more problems. But first of all, I need to bow, I need to be humble and understand the situation. And then in following not only my mind, but following my heart, then I will find my way to overcome the challenge ahead of me. So that's how we know if we are working on something based on a previous life. If you have a very serious...
Sorry to tell you this. Sorry, I just have to interject because it's so important, and it's something that I struggle with the same thing. But from my studies, which is, and I'm sure like all of us, is very broad. What I learned was people often, I'm not labeling anybody here, but it was an eye-opener. If you have had in your childhood an over-controlling parent, was very interesting that we have a need to rebel because we actually needed our freedom. So sometimes it might be past life, but sometimes we have to go and look at our family of origin. I'm just introducing this as a thought.
Yes, that's very good point. Yes, very interesting. Thank you so much, Janice.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Did you call me, Anna?
Yes, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so I don't really know much in terms of Nazi reincarnations, but I do know that I've seen and read a lot of testimony that Holocaust victims have reincarnated, and I think that that sets up an interesting dynamic on the planet at the moment as well as the other reincarnations. And in terms of past life things, I think a particular affinity to a country or to a place, sometimes indication of a past life. So there's a particular town in Scotland, in the north of Scotland, that I have a particular draw to. And I've done some shamanic work and had somebody have a look at it, and I had them ask my guides, and yeah, I've had a lifetime somewhere in that region. And it was a feeling of being at home, basically.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you. Len?
For the sake of time, very quickly, I think it would help as far as reincarnation, a lot of the information, to read the Mountains of Evidence and works from Brian Weiss, Newton, Sylvia Brown. There's so many others. I think you'd learn an awful lot. The second thing, as far as how is the soul attached to this incarnate body here, this three-dimensional body here, there's mountains of evidence too of the energy cord. The silver cord is many names in which a soul is attached. As in a personal example, Felicia waits for me to go to sleep at night, and then we both go to the other side. She calls my soul the anxious, it's astral travel, the anxious soul, and I go, and she gets annoyed because I still have the energy cord attached. And she tells me about it, and we go to our place on the other side, and then we go to the Temple of Voices, we hang out. So, and we do that every night, okay? That's why she stays with me at night and says, who's this woman in bed with me? And then she punches me, and then we get it over with, and she calls me an asshole, and that's it. And then we go on. And then at that point, we go to the other side to our place, and then we hang out. My spirit guides come, and this. So it's the energy cord is how the soul is attached to this incarnate, three-dimensional temporary body here, for the sake of time. Done. Okay.
Thank you, Len. Thank you. Leda.
I'd like to try to answer a bit of Genesis questions, if that's okay. Is it? So she asked about our past reincarnations. I believe you said a bit about that, but that you can't be totally sure, but you have to analyze your own behavior now and see what are your likes and your dislikes, and see if that matches logically with what you consider to be your past lives. Because our likes and dislikes, our traumas, they come from previous lives. So this has to do with this. And the people you're connected to in this life, they are probably, as Len was saying, we reincarnate in the same group. So some people are probably attached to you because of your past lives. And also, when there is something, I think you said something about that, Anna, when there's something that you cannot, you don't want something to happen to you, but they come anyway, and there's nothing that you can do that can change that. That's a consequence from your past lives. So you probably will find the cause of that in a past life, but you shouldn't provoke. I don't know if we talked about this yet. You shouldn't provoke. It's better when it comes to you naturally, without you provoking your memories, because sometimes you're not ready to see what you have been through. You're not ready to know what you have been through. And the second question, I believe it was about forgiveness. And then I'd like to say that God always forgives you. God always does, but there is a law of cause and effect. So whenever we would do a wrong thing, we have to repair it. We have to undo that. And we can do it faster or not so fast. So sometimes God waits for us to be ready for repairing it. And sometimes it can take centuries So there are in Chico Xavier's books, there was just an example. There was a tragedy here in Brazil in 1961 where a circus got on fire and many people died. And then the medium, Chico Xavier, he told us that this was a repair from something that happened in the 2nd century when the Christians, the Romans persecuted the Christians, and they had a plan of setting fire on the Christians and releasing horses to kill them. So they waited until everybody could have the
face
best.
that difficulty.
Yeah, they could face this experience. So they waited almost 2,000 years to have this repair or this undo, right? Because they needed to have this experience in their consciousness. So we also sometimes we need to forgive ourselves. And for some spirits, they have to go through the same experience. Not all the spirits, but some spirits, they have to go through the same experience that they caused to experiment the same pain that they caused to others. Even though sometimes the other person has already forgiven them. Yeah. So this is like Giles says, it's not one, how do you say, Glenn? One size does not fit all. But in this matter of cause and effect, right? But sometimes, for example, the other person, the victim doesn't forgive you. But when you are okay with the law, I mean, if you've done all that you can, then the law won't allow you to go suffering longer. And then this person, forgiving you or not, will have to accept. So every case is a different scenario. But that's it. I don't know if you got it.
Thank you, Leda. No, you brought up good points. Yes, no doubt. Thank you so much.
Who lowered the hand who is not going to make a question?
I know I have that memory, but now is Gloria's time.
And I have to unmute. Len mentioned a book, and it reminded me, my mother was terrified of dying, and I wasn't able to get through to her in any way to give her any peace with the fact that she was transitioning. And so I got her the Brian Weiss books that Len mentioned. And she read those. And I think because in our society, you know, doctors are held up as credible sources. And because he had been such an established medical professional, and he wrote those books, she really ate them up, and it really shifted her. So I just wanted to confirm, I had that experience with my mother, Lynn, of giving her those books to read, and it made a difference because I wasn't getting through to her, but he did. Yeah.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much. Hi, Saint. You had your hand raised for a while. Did you?
No, I've decided that I will just be quiet because I have difficulty with all the various, because I think it's a little strange and not readily acceptable to me. So let's leave it at that.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you so much. Len, you still have any comments?
Quickly about Brian Weiss's books. I had the honor to spend 1 week with Brian in a very small group. He put me under 3 times. We had several past lives, etc., of hypnosis. He's a special soul. I highly recommend to read all his books. You will learn an awful lot. The second thing is later got going on forgiveness, and I'll just give the bottom line to forgiveness. Love will always drive out hate. The light will always drive out darkness. Simple as that.
Yep.
But I recommend Brian's books. Highly recommend it. They're, if you want to learn about reincarnation, love, it's
wonderful books. Yeah, wonderful books. Thank you, Lynn. All right, so
Then what was that name? Can you put that name in the chat?
What name?
The one you just said, the book and the author.
Oh, Brian Weiss?
Yeah, Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masks.
If you say it really quickly, then maybe I'll be able to understand. Better you put it in the chat, sorry.
Okay. It's just the Brian Weiss books. Just pull them up. They're very famous books. I mean, you know, and there's a whole series of them. Highly recommend.
Brian is very famous, and he lectures a lot, and I've listened to a lot of his talks.
Right. All right, good discussion, folks. It was not intended to be that way, but let's see if we can read the book a little bit. Janice?
Yeah, can you hear me again? Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what was really interesting is that I had people that were very like psychic mediums, and they told me that I was part of the Holocaust. Then I started to get visions about, you know, how I, at that time, you know, I'll just say transition and all that. And then sometimes I'm Jewish, when I'd be in synagogue, I would just start crying. It was like my body was crying me. I wasn't, there was nothing in my mind, and sometimes I get extremely emotional. And I guess what I've concluded is that my body, mind, spirit, on a very profound cellular level, remembers, but also carries generational trauma. Okay, so it's the trauma. I'm going to be very bold and transparent, because maybe, you know, it's kind of insightful, at least for me, and maybe with other people, but we carry it for a reason. Okay, when that happens. And so one of the things I've been attracted to, and I don't have an answer yet, but there are some people, you know, they've written books on clearing generational trauma. So sometimes I think we've come into this lifetime for a bigger purpose than what we think, you know, and I guess the thing is to pay attention sometimes to your emotional reactions, which are out of alignment with the intellect, but they're totally on sole purpose. And then the other thing that can compound this, and that's also to really discern, is that for those of us that are empaths and highly sensitive people, we also carry the emotions of others and what's going on in the world. So sometimes what happens is we're having a reaction based on other people's sadness, which can really, like I'm telling you, put your day out of whack. And then you start to realize and discern what belongs to me and what doesn't. But I'll use the word workers of the light, love workers, whatever you want, but we're here to, and I would venture a number of us in this meeting are here consciously or unconsciously to help in the transition of the earth. And so these are just all aspects of things I've experienced, but maybe, you know, you might have experienced stuff like that, and not to think that you're going nuts or there's something really wrong with you. It's just a challenge that we've taken on a soul level. And whatever help we can get. And as I say, if anyone has any good ideas as to resolving trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, I'd love to hear it. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, good points. All right, so it's almost 4 o'clock over here in Houston, but let's see if we can read at least 1 or 2 questions and answers from the Spirit's book. We stop by the number 694. What should we think of contraceptive methods created solely to satisfy sexual desires? And the answer from the Spirits is, they prove the power of the body over the soul and show how deeply human beings have become immersed in their material existence. So with that, we go to the next one.
Anna, do you want to very like in 2 minutes explain to Janice and Cherry a little bit of what we are studying here, or no?
So why don't you do that, please?
No, do you?
No, since you volunteer, you go ahead and do it.
Oh my gosh, please.
He did this last week.
Yes, that's right. You did. It's your turn.
Yeah.
No, you do.
So what she's so, yeah, she's very shy. But Sherry, she knows, she probably have seen some of
My husband is teasing me back that I'm shy. I am shy.
And so Janice and Sherry, so what we are doing over here, we are studying this book that we call, it's called The Spirit's Book. It's one of the books from Allan Kardec. And he kind of compiled this, the Spirit teachings in 5 books. And all these books, they are like a sequence of questions that was made by Allan Kardec and his group. And the questions come, they come from the spirits. So what we are doing over here, we are reading the questions and try to answer ourselves, and then we make some comments based on the answers that we see. All right, so, and we follow this Kardecpedia. The books that we have over here, they are all available in this site, Kardecpedia. They're free, no charge. And you can see the books in different languages. So you can compare if you happen to know other languages, and then you want to compare the different versions. Okay.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
So question 695 is marriage, the permanent union of 2 beings, contrary to the law of nature. Any comments on that?
I think it is. I actually think it is, in the sense that I think that people are here in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think sometimes, you know, people are here, even if we, you know, there's legal marriage, and I think that it's really important for children, but I think that we have to respect at the same time the evolution of our soul, and to accept when it's time that there needs to be a change. Mm-hmm. So I think marriage is a great place to grow, you know, in relationship, but I don't necessarily think it's to the end of our life. And in fact, can get very, very, just to finish off, can get very toxic. And I was listening to a podcast last night of 2 different couples that got divorced. And they're both saying that even, you know, when one of them was reluctant to let go, the best thing they ever did was surrender the relationship. And in both cases, it became wonderful friendships, and they got married to other people. So it was the time to go.
Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Welcome.
Len.
Okay, the last 2 questions I'm kind of struggling with. I have some problems with as far as contraception, the body over the soul, etc. Regarding sexual desires, regarding marriage. I'm having problems with that because, first of all, that's called fun. All right, the sexual desires. I mean, that's part of us, our being, of passion, sexual love. So I think this is kind of a medieval approach to these questions. You can have great enjoyment of your incarnate bodies and still be a highly evolved soul. Mm-hmm. Hello? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is, so this is kind of medieval thinking here as far as the present day life. I mean, you can still be a normal human being and have your passions, etc., desires, and you still can be a highly evolved spiritual soul.
Yeah, it all depends on where exactly your focus is, right? So I guess the point here is if that aspect is controlling, is the main focus of your entire life, then yeah, something is not quite right, because we are not here just to live a material, to have a physical experience. We are here to evolve as the spirits, right? But yeah, so, but hey, you have a body, so, right? So anyway, Maria.
On monogamy and polygamy, the position of the spirit is clear, but it is good to reflect that we can clearly perceive that knowledge of sexuality, that's right, sexuality?
Yes.
From an spiritual point of view, brings more self-knowledge to human beings.
Mm-hmm.
In this sense, it is stimulated and even considered very important by the spirits. However, on the other hand, when have sexuality understood as sensuality,
yes.
In this regard, we have the quote below from the Spirit's book, Introduction 6. Kardec said, they teach us that selfishness, pride, sensuality are passions that bring us closer to animals' nature, holding us to material. Okay. Then we need to understand that when the spirits told us about anything, they are not imposed the law. They want that we think about what are they talking about, and this involves our knowledge and our self-knowledge.
Yes.
To do things different than what we want. Because exactly. What we want to do is more near to the past. But what we need to do is near to now. Mm-hmm. And we need to understand it in our lives.
Yeah, I like when you mention, it's a matter of free will. And also I like when you mention the sensuality as opposed to sexuality, because it depends on for what purpose you use your body, right? So it's all depends on the intention. And I like that, it makes a whole difference. Gloria.
The question says, contrary to the law of nature, and the first thing that came to me was there are numerous animals that mate for life. Mm-hmm. Just because they don't have formal marriage ceremonies, they still mate for life. Mm-hmm. We've got waterfowl here close to where I live, and one of them was hit by a car, and the other one is just, heartbroken and alone. I mean, they mate for life. So I don't think it, as the question says, contrary to the law of nature. No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So since you were okay, Giles.
Yes, I'm delighted to hear about Len's soul group, because I have read about these soul groups and not ever had anybody experience this or talk about it. So I am very impressed to hear this, because the soul group means that there's a bunch of spirit family. Yes, okay, a spirit family, whatever name suits, but that these people are spirits that voluntarily join together. And then and this means that the human experience will be over not too long, because these choices are not made until close to the end of the human experience. And then they join with their multiple thousands of incarnations into one being, which is then called a superhuman. And that then, of course, is a superhuman that knows that love and laughter and life are the wonderful things in the universe. So I simply cannot imagine what kind of motivation those spirits have. And the last thing they do is pay attention to individual incarnations on the planet or interfere with them, because they know that everything is going to end perfectly. So that, that all stories have happy endings.
Thank you, Giles. So it seems like you were the last one. Would you please read the answer for us? Giles, are you talking? You're on mute.
This is 695.
Yes.
Okay. Just to remember, is marriage the permanent union of two beings contrary to the law of nature? And the answer is something very vague and vague. It is progress that has been achieved by humankind. So the reason that it says progress has been achieved is because when Muhammad got busy in the year 600, people took as many women as they could and married some of them, multiple at the same time, and had concubines as well, according to your money. And this was nasty in the year 600. And Muhammad was trying to limit this and prevent it by saying maximum of 4 women in his books. So it is progress that has been achieved by humankind. This is, of course, one of the developments that happen as the civilization progresses. Changes will change.
Thank you. Josie, you have any comment? Thank you, Giles.
Yes, I just want to comment, like, I know we are talking about marriage here, but as Gloria said, the animals never got married. It's not about the marriage. It's about you have a real, honest, lovely relationship with somebody. It doesn't matter if you're married or not. In my point of view, talking here, it's more about have respect and love somebody and use the sexuality in a good way, in the way that's positive and bring you good energy. So yeah, I just want to say that.
Thank you. Janice, you have your hand raised. So you have any comment?
I guess the thing is, this is my question. I think it actually was answered, but my question is this, and I just love this discussion, and that is it human nature to be bonded to one person for life? And you know, and it was suggested and true that in nature, you know, you can see animals, sometimes they're not even of the same species. You know, you see a cat and a dog, you hear these wonderful stories, and one dies and the other one just, you know, loses their reason for living. So I'm just wondering, is it right in our biology, our nature, that we actually are supposed to be bonded for life? And even going back to the Bible, well, I don't even know if it relates, but I'm just thinking of Adam and Eve, whether or not you believe it, you know what I mean? It's just the idea that woman was created from the rib, I think, of Adam, and then this couple. So that's kind of left me with that great question. Is it our nature?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. Thank you so much. Hyacinth?
We're talking about the permanent union of two beings. I mean, with that I'm marriage, because marriage is a construct of people. Women were married to men, and the women had nothing to do with it. She was a chattel of the man. Now, where you get two people who have bonded and formed a close relationship, that's something else.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, agree. Thank you. Lynn.
And the other thing talking about with the Muslims, as the Muslims explained to me why it was that you were allowed to have 4 wives, and that was because they were traveling. They were not a sedentary people. they traveled, they moved around. And therefore, you needed to have some kind of a family life so that you were allowed to establish 4 families. And you should treat them equally. And I lived in Indonesia, which is a Muslim country, and that certainly was this. But again, you go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So that, but this was a situation, it was a social construct.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, it's more a cultural, social, cultural
yes.
type of thing. Yes. Lynn.
Yeah, marriage is a man-made concept, but the bottom line is, a piece of paper is not going to make 2 people love each other more, period. A piece of paper. We know there are a lot of lousy marriages. They stay together for the kids, for the money. They're too tired, they're too old to get a divorce. They hate each other. So a piece of paper is never going to make 2 people love each other more. Mm-hmm. It's from the heart.
Let me say that the 20 people you are with, the 19 spirits that you are with, there's a real marriage. That's something that's going to last.
Right. Eternal classmates.
Will incarnate as husband or wife, on and off, in between with all of those 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
So the piece of paper doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that, but let me call attention that the question doesn't say anything about the paper. We are assuming it's about the paper, but it doesn't say anything about the paper.
Well, a marriage is a marriage contract.
Yeah.
Well, it says, is progress has been achieved by mankind? Yes, it has, because marrying 4 women or 40 women, which is what happened in, before Muhammad, and they were all treated differently and nastily, mostly, because how can it be otherwise? And so it is progress that has been achieved by mankind. Yes, sir. 1,500 years of progress brings us to one-on-one mainly. There's still exceptions, of course, and the battle goes on as usual.
Thank you. Josie.
Say, like, at least nowadays, I agree a lot with Lan, and I think that, say, or marriage or paper, the union, right? It's about the feeling. It's about to love somebody and want to be with this
the
person.
heart.
Yes. The heart. So we can call union, but yeah, it's just...
Look, Josie, my wife is on the other side. I'm here, and we still have the determination. We're together 24/7. Yeah. We communicate in every conceivable way. We go to bed together at night. She kisses me good night. We merge our energies together at night. We spoon in bed. She taught me this morning I never ironed a shirt in my life. She taught me this morning how to iron a shirt. Okay? She teaches me how to cook. I mean, she's closer to me now than when she was here in many respects, in my heart and soul. Also, they do have sex on the other side. And she went to the Hall of Records to get some books. There's a lot of learning centers. And she got out the books, and we're reading about it. So when I get home, we could get it on. So the bottom line is, a piece of paper means nothing. It means nothing. It's what's in the heart. She's on the other side, I'm here, and there's nothing that's going to separate us.
But Len,
absolutely, Len.
But Len, you have to admit that that is a very unusual case.
Yeah, a specific situation.
Yes, it's been called.
You are very lucky to feel her.
Yes. I agree with you 100%, Hyacinth.
Rare, yes, it is.
Tom, you also had your hand raised. Did you have any?
Then Lane come out with it. I just let him carry on. That marriage is nothing to do with spirit world. All that is just an earth thing.
Exactly.
It's government, it's taxation, nothing to do with spirit. It shouldn't even be a question. It shouldn't even be a thing. It shouldn't even be in that sort of book.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with spirit.
Thank you. Luis, please.
Luis is here. Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Sorry, people,
late.
we mistook the time.
I
We
don't
just
know why.
put in our minds it was 6 o'clock. It wasn't 5 o'clock. Sorry about that. And thanks to see Sherry Pearl here, Sherry.
Yeah.
Nice to see you here. Thank you. Well, I remembered a passage in the book Astral City that I think comes to help us in this sense, because I'm going to read, quote, they say, "We learn here in the Astral City that love is the hub of life on earth. Yet, most people never realize that important truth. Twin souls, kindred souls, and sympathetic souls form numerous pairs and groups. By gathering together and assisting in one another, they succeed in advancing along the road to redemption. When, however, help is lacking, a weaker person usually fails before completing the journey. And yes, we have many kinds of unions here with many kinds of interests, right? And not many times these unions come from affinity, right? Because of the interests of the soul. In the chapter about divorce in the book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, I think many Spiritists don't pay attention to this detail, but Allan, Kardec, and the spirits, they tackle the issue of choice. What do you choose to be together with you? What are the reasons you base your relationship for the future? And sometimes the divorce is just a consequence of the failure of those kinds of choices, you know? And affinity, where affinity was not the real thing that you, but we know that's not only the problem, we have karma too, yes? Karmic situations sometimes make us fall in love with those situations that are going to redeem us.
Yes.
So, and that's why sometimes psychologists say about the bubble of passion, that you fall in love, but then the bubble just, burst, and whoa, where am I? Who am I?
It's such a complex topic, because sometimes we get together just so we stop it. Sorry, we get together just so we deliver somebody, right? So another soul that it happens to need a parent to be born, right? So it's I mean,
yes, for some hatred, they say hatred unites people, if you love frees people. So how can life make a way for you to meet the person you hated in the past and you get together and get married, for example? There are resources life can use to make it happen. And then you try to make ends meet after that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I would say just that the lens relationship is not so rare between, I would say, simple people, because they are not so interested in things.
Not intellectualized. Intellectualized people are very complicated in terms of relationship, in terms of affinity,
Yeah, we say, oh, it's so rare, we don't see it between people. But in simple people, we see it frequently.
Yes.
They are always together with someone they really love. They are not interested.
This is our research, yeah.
Yeah, we can't see that. And it's not so rare as we imagine. It's rare because we are really very interested in another things that's not love, or true love, really love. And of course, karma too.
Yes. Don't point at me.
No.
Yeah. Well, of course, karma too. Like, what does she?
Wow, Livia, you need to explain that after.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to do it.
There'll be some explanations following this meeting. All right, guys. Hey, 421 over here in Houston. I really appreciate everyone's comment. Very nice.
Tom wants to talk.
Yeah, Tom wants to say something.
Oh, sorry, Tom. I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
Okay. No, just to say, my parents, they're in the spirit world, and they've been together 55 years. They've got 7 kids, and my dad's with his first wife. My mum is further down the line. And going back to spirit family, I've got 5 spirit family members that were on the earth when we were sitting in the home circle. And I have 11 aunties and uncles on my mum's side and 11 on my dad's side. I got hundreds of cousins all over the world, and not one of them is in my spirit family. Not one anywhere around me or near me is in my spirit family. My spirit family members, what we were told in our sittings, is my wife that's in the spirit world. The medium now, he's gone back to the spirit world. His wife is a spirit family member, and there was 3 more from Australia joining us. But it finished, so I don't know whatever happened there. But out of all we had a family reunion in Ireland, and there was 250 turned up, and not one of them is my spirit family.
Wow. Isn't that interesting? Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, I finally met all my family, and not one of them is anywhere spiritually like me. And so I was ejected from the family group of about 80 tall, rich people. It was perfect. They're English, you see. They're English, Tom.
All right, everyone.
They're not English in the spirit world.
Yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. You nailed. You nailed, Heisen. Thank you all. And I hope to see everyone together again for a very nice discussion. Thank you so much for the discussion today. Very, very nice. And I'll see you next Saturday then. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry. Thank you. Wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.
Have a nice week.